Work and Witness in Trinidad and Tobago, a history. One of the most exciting ministries in the Church of the Nazarene has been Work and Witness, a team of men and women with a desire to advance the kingdom of God, donate time, money, and skills to help build much-needed facilities, as well as share their personal testimonies with people around the world. Christian commitment, dedicated service, and willing sacrifice are key words that describe this mission miracle. The Trinidad and Tobago district of the Church of the Nazarene has had a history of Work and Witness teams from North America visiting our shores to assist with building many of the church buildings in which we meet today and witnessing in our communities. Over 30 years ago, former District Work and Witness Coordinator Reverend George Leons and member of the District Church Properties Board, Reverend David Ali, were two key persons charged with the responsibility of securing foreign funding and teams to assist in our district in this regard. By the early 2000s, some of our local churches began to venture to other countries and islands in the Caribbean to do evangelistic work. However, it wasn't until 2010 that our district made history by sending a district work and witness team, guided by the Church of the Nazarene's policies, to make a difference in the Caribbean.
Work and witness teams start moving out of Trinidad somewhere in the early 2000s. But we were having problems because some of the teams were not fully representing what work and witness really meant and what it encapsulates. So I had a conversation with Brother Leonard Grant and told him that we want to have work and witness represented well, just as it is internationally done by the Church of the Nazarene. If he would be willing to lead the charge of taking teams to different parts of the Caribbean. But we were going to do it exactly the way Work and Witness ought to be done, in terms of raising our own funds and financing every aspect of the trip. And Lenny came on board and marshaled that cause, and I stood alongside of him and supported every facet of it, and we were able to get teams organized the way that Work and Witness ought to be functioning, and took them across the different parts of the Caribbean. That's how we started up.
In 1995, Brother Albert Harris, a member of the Arima Church of the Nazarene, came to me to ask for technical advice on concerning hosting a team from South Carolina district come to work on the Arima Church of the Nazarene. And it's from that point on time I got involved in the Work and Witness program in terms of we call giving technical advice to the different churches and directing and assisting Work and Witness team as they would come from time to time in the country. And that went on until when Reverend George Leons, who was at the time of the NMI structure, he was the Work and Witness coordinator. And he had gotten a promotion, and so I was given the job of the Work and Witness coordinator under the NMI. According to the handbook, Work and Witness was a function of NMI. But at the time when I ascended the position, Work and Witness was handled by the District Church Property Board. And out of that, you would have had people and individual churches going out. In May 2007, I was asked to represent the district to meet one Kurt Luthi. He was the Caribbean Work and Witness coordinator. He was on his way to Suriname. And I met with him, and he introduced me to the idea of actually having a district Work and Witness team doing a global Work and Witness program. That was an idea placed in my mind.
It was this inspiring thought by former Caribbean Field Work and Witness Coordinator Kurt Lutie, the passion of Brother Leonard Grant, and the unwavering support of Reverend Dr. Victor George that moved our district into action.
We came together and decided that we are going to go to the most needed area in the Caribbean. We also had to look at the cost in order to, and whether we could afford to get to the area, because some parts of the Caribbean, to go there is very expensive. So when we decided on the first trip, it wasn't difficult to determine where to go, because the earthquake had just taken place in Haiti, and we knew right away that was a place that we needed to go. And we also determined that we would stay in that area for 3 years.
In January 2010, I was attending the evening session at CNC Leadership Seminar when it was announced that a devastating earthquake had struck Haiti. Shortly after that, I discussed the matter with Reverend Dexter Daly at the time. He was at the seminar. I knew that Reverend Dexter Daly, was scheduled to go to Haiti that year, which is 2010, on a HIV/AIDS mission. So I spoke to Reverend Daly and we started the communication process. Later on, I spoke to Reverend George. At the time, because I was actually functioning as a site coordinator, I was already in communication with the Caribbean Work and Witness Coordinator, Kurt Lutie. He had given me a package of a Work and Witness package, 2 packages, one for Haiti and one for Belize, when he was suggesting that at some point in time, our district should consider going on a Work and Witness trip. So all of those things were already in my possession.
The plan was set. Next up, prayer and the forming of the team.
I got on board when we decided that we are going to organize ourselves as the Work and Witness Manual says we ought to be functioning as a team. I have a deep love for the mission of the church. For years, as being a pastor of the church in the Church of the Nazarene, I have seen Work and Witness team coming into Trinidad and doing work and helping churches. As a matter of fact, some of the churches that I've pastored, Work and Witness teams were part of building those churches, especially the Arima Church of the Nazarene. And my motivation came from seeing these people coming from North America, interacting with them and hearing them tell their stories of the little that they had and saving their little. I remember talking to a team member that came from Soquani in Washington, that same team that came to Arima in 1995. And she told me that she had to take up cans and throw them into this can machine, and the can machine would give a dime or something like that. And that was one of the ways that she used to raise funds to come to get on her team, to come to help build our church office. And if anything touched me was that fact that it was people who didn't have much that were willing to save and to raise funds by many different means to come to our island and to help us. And I say to myself, if these people from North America could have, leave their homes, do all kinds of different fundraiser to assist them to come to help us, then why can't we ourselves, as a district church, do the same for our brothers and sisters within the Caribbean region. That was my chief motivation. The fact that people were living thousands of miles abroad, didn't have much, but had a willingness to go the extra miles of doing all kinds of stuff to raise funds to come to help us. I love that idea. We can do the same. And that motivated me to be a part of the team and to get involved. I was all excited and happy to be a part of that team. There was a few of us, but we were filled with the Holy Spirit, filled with enthusiasm, and wanted to be part of this mission to go to an island, a country that had need, and do our part. Brother Lenny himself was an inspiration to me too, because if you know Lenny, whatever he puts his mind to do, he does it with passion.
Just after I got baptized, which Pastor George is my spiritual father at a Rhema church, he encouraged me to go to the first Book and Witness, which Pastor Remy and Pastor Aziz used to come out of Trinidad with Work and Witness at the time. And a matter of fact, the Rhema church paid for me to go. And I went to that first Work and Witness. And they made me the work coordinator on that trip. And it really amazes me the things that we take for granted in Trinidad and other people don't have. And it reminds me of how much we have and others doesn't have that we can help. And since that time on, I never look back. I fell in love with Work and Witness. I love helping people. And I had that burning desire to really do Work and Witness.
For me, as I always say, I had worked for Caesar with passion and doing something that came naturally for me in terms of I was trained to do this and it came to me and I did it because the Lord made a way for it to happen. So you asked my passion was already there in terms of working for Caesar. So it is more joy to work for the Lord because your blessings are eternal.
The team of men who decided to go on that first district Work and Witness trip to Haiti received support from their family and friends. Their main challenge, however, was getting the buy-in from fellow Nazarenes.
Well, once we planned to have the team go somewhere, we send the word out to the district. In terms of our first trip, the support in terms of persons standing behind us, I want to say the church stood behind many of us, our individual local churches. I know for Desimore and John Gibson, while I was their pastor, I really encouraged the church there to support them. When I became district superintendent, I made sure that they incorporate in the district budget through the district finance committee a sum that will cover my involvement in Work and Witness. So the district would have been a major source of support to the district superintendent going to these different trips. We also got support from individual persons and we got support from some churches. But a lot of the costs were borne by many members of the team themselves, pulling out money from their pockets, along with what they would have collected from the church. The team would have also printed donation sheets and have these donation sheets sent around to different churches, and different members assisted us in raising funds. So we had we it wasn't the kind of support that we would have liked. We wanted the whole church to be involved in it. We didn't get that kind of support in terms of whole church, but we had the churches that the members themselves, the team members who were involved, came from. Those churches helped with the donation sheet. So the donation sheets were one of the major means of raising finance. Also, individual churches raise finance, and individual members of the team raise use their own funds in order to make this happen. So that those were the different. Of course, my family and friends supported me in terms of their prayers and encouragement. Not so much financial, but in terms of supporting my going there and praying for me and encouraging me through their words. Yes, I had that support from family and friends, but the major financial support came from myself, the district, and some of the local churches. That's how it happened for me.
I get some individual support, like what Pastor George said, from certain members in the church that used to support me individually. And a lot of my support came from other building contractor. I used to get a lot of support from my clientele. I used to mention how I do work and witness and what we do and how we go about it. And they supported me pretty good. Some of the hardwares, some of the people that I buy things from wholesale, they used to support me a lot. Apart from that too, at that time we used to throw like barbecues to help make money apart from the donation sheet that Pastor George had mentioned. And I would like to also say that we, like Pastor George said, we didn't get the full support that we really wanted from the whole church. But all in all, we did get support from who had really understand what work and witness really is.
In terms of support, what I would say is that it was coming at an event, a time when the general district usually question why you're doing what you're doing. It was easier for them to say send the money to some other group than to give it to the district work and witness team. That's a fact. We got support from people outside of the circle of believers. A member of our local church, which is Tunapuna, came to me and said, Brother Graham, this person is a non-believer, but he is willing to donate $5,000. I said to her, we take in the $5,000.
In terms of the challenges that we face, I want to put one of the major challenge was getting people on our district to buy into work and witness. On a district that has benefited from work and witness for so many years, I think we've developed the attitude of always receiving. But when it comes to us going out, there were actually people who were saying, man, we have so many needs here in Trinidad and Tobago, why are we going out to other districts? People were saying that. People were saying that we have so much small churches here, but they were not looking at the opposite side, where in North America, there are so many needs just as well. yet they were willing to come. When we go on trips, I would remind the people to whom we went, hey, we are not rich people, but we love God, and we want to be part of expanding the kingdom of God, and we understood what it meant to give out of your wants, out of your needs. And I believe that many of the blessings that came to us individually and as a district was as a result of the fact that we were in Trinidad giving out of our needs. And then on top of that, I also held to the fact that to whom much is given, much is expected of them. And I think in Trinidad and Tobago, while we are not a tremendously rich church, God has been faithful to us. God has been good to us in so many different ways. And I think that in itself should help us to go. So the major challenge was changing people's mindset, and the second challenge was finances.
And one of my personal challenge that I have, and I'm still having, is that I was trying to involve the youths, because I think that as much as we had started the work and witness process as a district, we needed youths in the team. And I had started talking to some of the youths and trying to recruit some.
As the day drew nearer, some of the men who had signed up to go could not move forward with the team for various reasons.
Started off by making an appeal. I had about 8 people showed interest, and other people who were planning to go, for some reason or the other, they did not make it.
4 men remained. District Superintendent at that time, Reverend Dr. Victor George, then District Work and Witness Coordinator, Brother Leonard Grant, and members of the Arima Church of the Nazarene, Brother Nicholas Dezumo and Brother John Gibson, each bringing their own skill set and valuable contributions to the table.
I was trained at the John Donaldson Technical Institute in plumbing, electrical, and junior builders. I worked at the Ministry of Work as a plumbing foreman and a work supervisor, retiring as a road supervisor.
I'm the district superintendent, and I saw myself there as the spiritual leader. I've been a pastor for 30 plus years, and of course in the superintendency for over 14 years now. In terms of the work site, I was just a laborer on the team. I was hand me down this or hand me up this or put this there, put that there.
I was a contractor building houses. I had my own company back home. I had the knowledge. I had my company for over 20 years, registered company, and I bring that skill set to the team.
Well, Brother John will consider himself a handyman. And I think at the time when the trip was actually the janitor or the custodian at the Arima Church. So he was the fix-it man. So I know for a fact that will have been one of his areas. Secondly, we shared the same workspace for a short time. And he was actually what we'll call in the Ministry of Work a storekeeper.
And so it was on that historical day, August 9, 2010, 4 men proudly representing Trinidad and Tobago left to advance God's kingdom in Haiti.